Chapter 5 Review. Question number 1. Simplify 8 to the power 5 over 3. Rewrite this in a radical form. So this is in an exponent form where it's a cube root. If it is a cube root, you're going to write this as 3 inside the cap, and this is 8 to the power 5. You can also write this one as cube root 8 to the power 5. And then you're going to simplify this. Cube root of 8 is 2, and 2 to the power 5 is 32. So 32 is your answer as a simplified form, and this is a radical form of this question. 25 to the power 3 over 2, you're going to write it in a radical form. So this is going to be a radical form. You do not have to write a square root. You just can write square root as without the number in the cap. Square root of 25. Square root of 25 is 5 to the power 3. And 5 times 5 times 5, that's 125 here. Now we're going to sketch the graph for the square root of x. Square root of x is a positive graph. That is when you use the x and y values start from 0 and the y is 0 because you plug it in here. When you plug it in 1, square root of 1 is 1, 4, 2. And then 9, 3. So 0, 0, 1, 1, 4, 2 is going to go to the positive direction of the x-axis because x cannot be negative since it's a square root. For the sketch of the parent graph of cube root, we're going to have to memorize these graphs by now. It goes into both the directions. The graph of a cube root function, it goes on to the both directions from left end to the right end. So given fx equals to square root x, write a rule for gx that transform vertically stretch by 3, right 2 unit and down 5. So gx going to be 3 times x minus 2 because it's a right 2. It means it's negative 2. Down 5 means you're going to have a down 5 here. For the graph of the gx function, it's going to go right 2 unit and go 5 units down. So this is the point where the graph is going to start. It's going to be a vertical stretch by 3 unit. It means that the 1 point that was original point is moved up 3 units. So this is my next point. It's moved up 3 units. So this is my next point. So the graph looks like vertically stretched. Domain and range is always for the cube root function. You should remember this is negative infinity to infinity for domain and for range. For number 6, given is the fx, which is a square root x. If you want to graph this parent function, the parent function for this one is a square root function. We have to memorize by now. This is a parent function, goes from the 0 on to the positive side. When we are going to find the transformated function, gx, it is vertically stretched by 4. It is left 2 units and it's up 3 units. So when I find the point for this one, if you want to find the point for this one, is going to move 2 unit to the left side and up 3 is this point where the graph is going to start. Now it is moved 4 unit up. It means that what point was there first? It was 1, 1. Now it's not going to be 1, 1. It's going to be 1, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is going to be your first point. and it's going to look like that. Domain. Since the graph is moved 2 unit left and 3 unit up, so this is my point, starting point. Arrow goes into the positive side, so it's going to approach to infinity, comma, infinity. Domain is the x value from 2 to infinity, so domain is 2, comma, infinity. Range is -3, comma, infinity, so 3, +3, comma, infinity. So on your worksheet for number 6, you have a reflection as well. If you have a reflection, then I'm going to graph a new function that also shows reflection. If this is a reflection, all you have to do is there is a negative in front. And when there is a negative in front, you're going to start from the same point, but it's going to go to the 1, 2, 3, 4 to the negative side. So this is my graph for the reflection. And also it's going to change the domain going to be the same, but it's going to change the range a little bit for this purple graph. Is going to give you -3, negative infinity, comma, 3. So it's just going to change a little bit of dynamic for the function gx when there is a reflection graph on here. So for 7, solve the equation for x. It means that you need to remove the square root, so you mean to take square on both sides. So take a square on both sides. You got 30 minus x equals x squared. And then you add x on both sides and subtract 30 on both sides. This is you're going to get the equation as a square equation, and you can factor this equation. So once you factor this, you can use the cross method. Multiplication should be -30, and then addition should be 1. What are the two numbers that you're going to use to factor this? So the numbers are going to be 6 and -5. So the factors are 6 and -5. Put them equal to 0 one by one. X equals -6 and x equals 5. There are two equations, and obviously should be one equation. One of them should not work. So let's try and plug this -6 here. So let's try and plug that here. So 30 minus -6 equals -6. So square root of 36 is -6. And the next one is 30 minus 5 equals 5. Square root of 25 is 5. So square root of 25 is 5. That is true. But square root of 36 is -6. That's not the choice we're going to pick. X equals 5 is your choice. And for number 8, you're going to solve exactly the same way as number 7. There are going to be two x values, x equals 3 and x equals -4. And then the right answer should be x equals 3 when you check your answer. For number 9, you're going to find the inverse of the fx function. So first, you're going to set fx equals y. y equals negative 1 over 5, x minus 1. Then you switch x and y. So you got here x equals negative 1 over 5, y minus 1. Plus 1, you got x plus 1 equals negative 1 over 5. And then you're going to do is multiply this negative 5 on both sides. So multiply negative 5. 5 and negative cancel. Y equals negative 5x minus 5. And that's your gx because that's your inverse function. Now you're going to graph the original and the inverse function. So I'm going to graph the fx into a red graph. So this is going to be your negative 1. And then the slope is negative 1 over 5. So they are falling line from left to right. So go down over 5, go down over 5. Extend the line on the other side. It's going to be this line. For gx, you're going to start from negative 5. And the slope is negative 5 over 1. That means go down 5 over 1, down 5 over 1, extend that to the other side. You're going to get this blue line as your answer. For number 10, you're going to try on your own with the same method. Set fx equals y, switch x and y, and solve for y. The gx inverse function you're going to get is 2x minus 4. When you graph this function fx, start from 2, go up over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. You got this red line. When you graph the gx, which is the inverse function, you start from negative 4, go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, and they cross here, where the line of reflection is obviously is the y equals x line. So for the question number 11, you're going to simplify this exponent. 48 divided by 3. You take the 1 over 4 outside, so that's become 5 over 4. You solve or reduce the 48 divided by 3 as 16. And 16 to the power 1 over 4 and to the power 5. 16 to the power 1 over 4, which is the 4th root of 16. 4th root of 16 means what number you can have that you multiply 4 times to get 16 is 2. And 2 to the power 5 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. That's going to be 32 as your answer. Similarly, for the number 12, you're going to have 63 over 7, and you're going to have this 1 over 2 outside, so 4 times 1 over 2, that's going to be 2. 63 divided by 7, you can reduce that to 9, and 9 square is 81. Cube root of 27, x to the power 6, x to the power 1, y to the power 3, y to the power 1. So why I have this x to the power 7 reduce it into 6 and 1? Because x to the power 6 goes under the table of 3. And this power will be divided with this number outside. Cube root of 27 is 3. X to the power 6 divided by x to the power 1 over 3. So 6 divided by 3. 6 divided by 3 will give you x to the power 2. And this y to the power 3 and 3 induce, and that's y. What I'm left with inside the cube root is this x and this y, so xy. So that's going to be your final answer. Simplify 81 x to the power 6 and 5. Square root of 81. Square root of 81 is 9. Square root of 6. X to the power 6 divided by 2. If there is a square root, there is invisible 2 and outside. X divided by 2 is x to the power 3. Y to the power 5 did not go by the table 2, so it's going to be y to the power 4 and y. Y to the power 4, y to the power 4. Square root of y square is 2, and inside you left with y. For number 15, you're going to multiply the conjugate of 3 minus square root 2, and that is 3 plus square root 2. 3 times 3 plus square root 2, and that is a square minus b square formula. So 3 square minus square root 2 square. What you got on the bottom is 9 minus 2. So your final answer is 3 times 3 plus square root 2 divided by 7. Similarly, for number 16, you multiplying the conjugate. 4 times 5 square root 7 divided by 5 square minus square root 7 square. And that's going to be 25 minus 7. 25 minus 7 going to be 18. And that's going to be your answer. For number 17, you're going to find out if you can add or subtract. You can only add and subtract if they are like terms in form of radical. Here you have cube root of 27. Make them in the power of 3. So x to the power 3 times x, y to the power 3. 3y, x to the power 3 times x. All of them, the powers are in form of 3 so that they can induce from outside. Otherwise, you will not be able to add or subtract them. Cube root of 27 comes out as 3. Cube root of x, x and 3 cancel, 3 and 3 cancel, x outside, 3 and 3 cancel, y outside. You left inside is this x plus 3y, 3 and 3 cancel for x outside. Now we're going to multiply all these number outside, and that gives us a negative 6. So this is going to give us negative 6xy cube root of x plus 3yx cube root of x. They are exactly same types. Now they can be reduced to negative 3xy x to cube root of x. For number 19, there is a cube root on the top. To get rid of this, you want opposite operation. So you want to take cube on both sides in order to take care of the cube root. So what you're going to do here is take care of this by taking cube on both sides. You got 5x plus 1 equals negative 64. Minus 1 on both sides, you got 5x equals negative 65. To find the x, you're going to divide with 5. X equals negative 13. So for number 18, I'm going to write down the answer and you're going to try. This is going to be 14 x squared square root of x square y square root of x is inside. For number 20, x equals 2. You're going to skip the 21 and 22. So again, you're going to do number 18. Try this problem. The answer is right here. You're going to try number 20 similarly as number 19, and the answer is here as 2. You're going to skip 21 and 22. And for number 23, you're going to isolate the radical first. So you're going to isolate the radical first. And then you're going to divide 6. After that, it becomes easy. All you have to do is remove the radical by square on both sides. X minus 2 is 16, which means x is 18. So this is simple one, that number 23 is 18. And for this one, we can skip it for this one. To find the inverse for number 25, you're going to first set the fx equals y, and then you're going to switch x and y. You got here is x equals y squared plus 2, negative 2 on both sides. X minus 2 equal y squared. And then you take a square root on both sides. So square and y cancel. Y equals plus or minus x minus 2 square root. 26 set equals y equals fx. X minus 2 square minus 9. Switch x and y. And then solve for y. So plus 9 on both sides. Take a square root on both sides so that the square and square root cancel. So y minus 2 is plus or minus square root x minus or x plus 9 plus 2 on both sides. Y equals 2 plus or minus x plus 9 square root is your answer. Now the next part for 25 and for 26 is that they ask us to plus 18 or plug it in 18 on both sides and solve for y. In this case, you have 16 and y equals plus or minus 4. In this case, you plug it in 0 for x, and then you got plus or minus 3. So you got 2 plus 3 and 2 minus 3, so 5 comma negative 1 as your y. Question number 27, you're going to find out the parent function for this type of a graph. It's a cube root function. So it's a cube root function that is a parent graph. And you're going to also say if it's odd or even. This is an odd function because it's a cube. Over here, describe the transformation. The transformation for this one is vertical stretch by 4, right 1, and up 2. To graph this, you're going to move this graph. So the original function graph is this, and you're going to graph the transformated function. So you're going to move this graph 1 unit to the right and 2 unit up. So this is my starting point, and now it's moved 4 units stretched. So 1, 2, 3, 4 unit stretched and 4 unit stretched. So the graph of this going to look like this. And domain for this one, so domain is negative infinity to infinity, and range is also negative infinity to infinity. Parent graph for this function is a square root graph. So this is a square root graph, and it is an even function. Describe the transformation. It's a vertical shrink by 1/3, left 2 and down 3. Parent function graph, it looks like this. Now this new graph, the transformated graph, is moved 2 units to the left side and 3 units down. So this is my point where it's going to move down, and it is, instead of 1, 1 is 1, 0.3. So this is going to be your next point. So the vertical shrink graph is going to be looking like this one. So this point is 4, 1, and this point is 1, 0.3. This is your point that is -2, -3 is moving towards up and infinity. So infinity, infinity. So domain is -2, infinity, and the range is going to be for this one is -3, infinity.